good morning, folks. Welcome in. It is 9 minutes into the 7 o'clock hour as we're in a brand new week on this Monday morning, March the 4th, 2024. And, of course, our number here at Mornings in Meridian is 601-485-9191. You can hit us up on the talk line. Let us know how your weekend was. And, of course, we got a lot of local stuff to get into this morning. Also, you can listen to the show, obviously, on radio, 102.1 FM, on the WALT mobile app. Just search WALT 102.1 where you get your apps. And, of course, we are online, WALTmeridian.com, Facebook Live, X, and YouTube. So lots of ways to stay connected to the program. I am Rob. I hope you had a great weekend. And joining me this morning is Charles Frazier.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
How was your weekend?
It was good, thank you.
Good.
Worked a lot.
All right, so we got pleasantries are over, so
Now we're done with that. Right,
now into the
down to business.
Now into the meat and taters of the show. So, but
Yeah.
lot to get into this morning. Both local, state, and national. This morning, we try to cover all three aspects. But I know everyone's gearing up for Super Tuesday tomorrow. I think this is probably going to be maybe the last stand, maybe for Nikki Haley. But she did get a win yesterday.
Woo! Yes,
a win.
We call that a win?
I want to start there this morning.
Wow.
Because it is a win. It is technically a win yesterday because she won the D.C. primary.
Right.
But the total number of votes,
Yeah, I've got that.
not very good. So what was it, like 1,800?
Oh, no. Come on now. Don't sell her short. 1,955 cast for the Republicans, and coming in with a commanding victory of 1,279 to 676.
So we had more people vote in Lauderdale County.
More in certain districts of Lauderdale County than we did in the District of Columbia.
That's a win, Charles. That's a win.
She won by 600 votes. So anyway, whatever. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping by this time Wednesday morning, this will all be kind of resolved potentially. Well, there's a lot going down here in the next couple of days. I know we got Super Tuesday tomorrow because what is it, like 15, 20 states, something like
16,
that.
I think. But
I'm not sure. It's a very large number. I know Alabama is one of those. Of course, Mississippi does not vote until next Tuesday.
Right.
Just as a reminder. Also, you can still vote absentee.
Yeah. And that's spring break, so that's a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. So with spring break coming up next week. So I'm hoping by Wednesday morning we'll have some resolution. But then again, today is a big day for former President Donald Trump because it looks like the Supreme Court could be sending some sort of a ruling down about him with this ballot case involving Colorado. And, of course, that filters down to other states that are trying to keep him off the ballot, like Maine. And, of course, Illinois is trying to do the same thing. Yeah. So it'd be very interesting if that all kind of comes down today on the eve of Super Tuesday. That would be really interesting, that they would rule on the eve of the biggest voting day so far in primaries.
I mean, I don't know that it would really affect. It might get more of the vote out for him to say, wait a minute, what do you think you're doing, but if it comes down against him. But I can't imagine the ruling would be, I don't think that, you never know. It's a roll of the dice, isn't it? But my gut feeling says that they're not going to rule that he can't be on the ballot or that they don't have the right to remove him from the ballot.
I mean, when it comes down to it, when you look at the Constitution and look at the rule of law, which, gosh, I wish the rule of law was in effect for a lot of different cases.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the actual rule of law, I think that they're going to rule. They can't keep him off the ballot.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to happen.
I think it's justifiable.
So they're expecting that to come down. They had said this morning about 9 o'clock our time. So right as we go off the air, that's when they'll make the decision.
They were waiting for us to leave.
Thanks a lot, boys.
Okie dokie.
But we'll be watching that today. But a lot of local things to get into as well. Of course, your phone calls at 601-485-9191. Also, we're going to get into some state news involving a House bill that was passed a few days ago as well, involving alcohol. And, of course, Roger Wicker in Mississippi campaigning.
Really? Came home. All right.
Yeah.
Roger that.
Made some comments about President Trump and the border. Where's
the other Roger, by the way? He didn't come home.
No, he's not here.
Okay.
So. And also some breaking news that happened on Friday, of course, involving one of the Blaze reporters and Glenn Beck that we'll get into as well. So that was a very controversial story from back on Friday that we'll dip our toe into as well. But before we get too deep into the show, we need to thank our friends. Short drive up to Philadelphia at Doc's Toyota. Of course, what do we always say? There's no deal like a Doc's deal.
That's right. Many deals out there, but there is no deal like a Doc's deal. Just drive up to Highway 16 West in Philadelphia and check out all of the 2024 Camrys, Tacomas, 4Runners, Tundras, Highlanders, Corollas, you name it. If Toyota makes it, they've got them, and they have plenty of them. They also have a huge,
rather large,
selection of pre-inventory, all been through the rigorous Toyota inspection process, so you know you're getting a good quality car. You can check them out online as well. In fact, you can even purchase a vehicle online at docstoyota.com. How cool is that? And, of course, as we said before, you know, there are many deals out there. Everybody's got a deal. Well, you know what? There are many deals, but there is no deal like a Doc's deal.
Absolutely. Of course, wanted to get your comments on this. Of course, happened back on Thursday, rolling into Friday. We had Toby Bates on the program Friday, and, of course, phone calls were hot on Friday about this issue. Of course, the shooting that happened on Thursday evening that involved one person losing their life and homicide here in Meridian. And, still not a lot of details coming out of that. At the time we reported on that, they were still gathering evidence and, of course, trying to get the public to help them out through the Crime Stopper line. But, so shooting and one person lost their life on Thursday.
I think it's cut and dried as far as the sheriff's stop on
that's
North Hills.
That's a different story.
I thought that's the one you were talking about. But okay,
it's hard to keep up with these.
I can't keep up.
This is the one that happened on Thursday night.
Okay,
so this is the one that had the sheriff's deputy getting shot on North Hills happened Friday evening. So, the homicide happened on Thursday night. So, one person was shot, and, of course, they were still gathering evidence at that time on Thursday. And, of course, the sheriff's deputy that got shot there on Friday, luckily, that could have been a lot worse than what it was, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. I mean, you pull over a vehicle, and then the passenger gets out with a gun. And, of course, the sheriff's deputy has really no choice at that point.
Exactly.
Open fire.
Yeah, going back to that story on Friday, of course, like I said, it's not funny. It's just it's sad that it's hard to keep up with all of these because it's shooting here, shooting there. But, the one that happened on Friday evening, the NBI is handling this case of the shooting Friday night with a deputy that was injured and a passenger in the vehicle that was stopped died at the scene. So it did get a lot worse, obviously. But luckily with the sheriff's deputy, he is okay. The sheriff, Ward Calhoun, said, happened about 10:15 on Friday. A deputy initiated a traffic stop with a alleged drunk driver on North Hill Street near the intersection of Poplar Springs and Highway 493. The deputy asked the passenger to get out of the car. That's when the passenger fired at the deputy, and the deputy obviously returned gunfire. The passenger died, and the deputy, who was shot once in the arm, was taken to a local emergency room for treatment. Now, the driver was arrested with no injuries. Now, Calhoun thanked the Meridian Police Department for its help securing the scene. Now, there was a note here on the story from WTOK that we're quoting here this morning. It said that Sheriff Calhoun issued a correction to the original information provided in the story above reflects that change in some of the information that we just read to you. So, but with these sheriff's deputies, I mean, any police officer, Charles, I mean, when you're initiating any type of a traffic stop, and I know Sheriff Calhoun would tell you this too, you just never know what you're going to get into. And in this situation, gunfire was initiated.
The worst case, the one you plan for, I think, is kind of what happened. So, but I mean, the sheriff's deputy was shot in the arm, and I don't know, I guess it really doesn't matter who fired first, but the passenger comes out with a gun, and that's pretty threatening. So, obviously he intended to do some harm, and it sounds like everything was, that the detective or the deputy reacted appropriately, and it's unfortunate. I guess it was a young man lost his life. I don't think they said whether it was a young man or a young lady.
Yeah,
but either way,
and like I said, it just goes back to shooting here, shooting there. I mean, we have the homicide on Thursday, and then you have this happen at a traffic stop, and I think a lot of people are just kind of at their point now where. Hands up in air,
Right.
So.
Well, what are the details of the homicide on Thursday?
Really, at this point, the details of that were it was. I'm trying to remember the exact location of it, but anyway, it was a shooting that happened. One person died, and another one fled the scene, and they were still gathering evidence at the time. So, but yeah, that was a homicide, murder, however you want to call it.
Sure.
And then, of course, this initiated a traffic stop happened, and then deputy. Shoots the suspect, or the person in the vehicle. And like I said, NBI's got to do their due diligence and do the investigation. Obviously, body cam footage and car dash footage and stuff like that they'll have to kind of roll through and do the proper procedure and check the boxes and stuff like that. So.
I guess what's curious to me is that in the traffic stop that was initiated by the sheriff's deputy, he asked the passenger to get out of the vehicle, which is a little bit unusual. I mean, if it's a DUI stop, then you would ask the driver to step out of the vehicle. Just curious as to why. Was he a suspect in another crime? Was he a suspect in the previous day's crime, or was there another issue going on?
Yeah.
In order to react that way, you would think that he would be. Yeah. He's defending himself from something or trying to escape from something, and so you wonder if the two could possibly be related, or if there was another crime that the passenger, was suspected of perpetrating.
And like I said, I guess Sheriff Calhoun could clear up some of those details. Well, like I said, there's probably some ongoing stuff that we'll be privy to once they get done with investigations and whatnot. So, but I know we always wanted instantaneously.
We want answers.
We want answers now.
We got to wait.
But obviously, they got to go through the proper procedure there. I got a couple of comments here on Facebook this morning. Of course, we love Miss LaWanda. Appreciate her always watching us on Facebook. She said the community may get an opportunity to talk to Chief Young at the neighborhood watch this week if she attends.
Oh, right. Well.
And there's your answer.
Okay. Well,
good morning, city. Good morning, mayor. Good morning, city council.
And where is the neighborhood watch? Just so we know, is there any information about that? What day? Where?
I'm pretty sure Miss LaWanda will know that.
Okay.
And also,
I'd love to know.
Also, Miss LaWanda, time change this weekend? Question mark.
Yeah.
Yes, it is time change this weekend. So spring forward this weekend on those clocks, 1 hour. So
losing an hour.
Yep, losing that whole hour. What is it now? We'll get longer days now? Is that what it is?
Well, the days will be the same. I mean, they're getting longer anyway, but it just gets...
like they will get more daylight?
More daylight in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
All right, whatever. I'm still going to lose an hour's sleep, though.
You can go home and cut the grass now.
Yay!
What? That's no fun.
Thanks for reminding me. Let's go to the phone line at 485-9191. Hey, caller, good morning to you.
Yeah, Meridian had won the state championship.
Sure did. Sure did. Yeah, Meridian High won the basketball state championship. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. I can't remember what that score was,
What was that again?
The score.
The score.
What was the score? The score.
I know it was a good close game. I didn't quite keep up with it. I was doing one of my 7 other jobs this weekend. So, but I know that they did win the ball game. So.
Yeah. Yep. They got it.
Very good. Yeah, something good happening from Meridian.
Yeah, that's right. 54-50 was the
54-50.
54-50. All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely.
Yep. 7A championship for the Wildcats back
congrats.
on Saturday. So,
that's awesome.
Coach Norman's done a great job with the program out there, and 7A title for the Cats. So, but just got another comment here. The neighborhood watch, Miss LaWanda is saying New Life Community Church on State Boulevard. Not sure of the day and time. She's going to try to find out that info for us, but. I encourage Chief Young to go out to these. I mean, the community wants to hear from her. Absolutely, for sure. I mean, we don't need another 30-second press conference. We need more than that. From the police department, some good transparency and some speak.
Sure, about communication. I mean, and be open about it and say, hey, we've got some issues, and these are the issues that we're facing. And I don't think that anybody's looking here and saying it's all your fault. I think that. What we're looking for are some answers, though. And so, okay, what's our path forward? How do we resolve these issues is really what we want to know. Recognize that we have the issues. You have to identify the problem before you can begin to solve it. And And I think that they're just they're hiding a lot of times. They don't want to answer the questions, and sometimes the questions you can't answer. Well, that's fine. Just say you can't answer them. Be honest. I don't have an answer for that. We hope to recruit more, or whatever the question is. That's something we're working on. When are we going to have more police officers? We don't know. We hope soon.
And I'll say that, and I'll say this. I know we're kind of beating a dead horse on some of this with the police department, and that's fine. I mean, it deserves to be out there in the forefront. Sure. I mean, it deserves to be on the tip of our tongue all the time. I hate to keep comparing the two police chiefs, the one we currently have and the previous one we had, but I will say one thing about Chris Reed. Whether you love the guy or you don't like the guy, at least he did the interviews and at least was out there talking and was available and spoke and gave you some good transparency and details. And it's amazing how things change with the previous chief and the one we have now. Just saying. Yeah. I mean, because we've had Chris on this program before. He gave us some details and updates about what was going on with the Meridian Police, and we had Chief Young on once here on the program, but it was a lot of pre-prepared questions that we had to ask, and there were certain ones that I wanted to ask but could not ask. Yeah. So, which was a little disappointing. So, but I'm just saying the differences are completely different. So, and I think the community deserves better than that. Obviously, but like I said, beating a dead horse over and over again.
You can be a fantastic leader and not communicate with the public.
Yeah, absolutely.
Behind the scenes and doing everything you need to do. But it does send a message when you have kind of a confident leader. It sends a message not only to the community but also the criminals that, hey, we're serious about this. Yeah. And so it gives them maybe a little pause before they're committing these crimes or thinking about committing them. That wait a minute, we got a tough police chief.
And I've heard people before say, "Well, y'all are just buddy with Billy Solly and Ward Calhoun." Yeah, they are good friends. I'm going to tell you why they are good friends, too, because they're not scared to come in here and take the questions and talk to you.
Well, they're here every month.
And they're here every month, and they don't mind
because
doing
they do take the questions.
Because they feel like that's part of their job is to keep you, the voting public, informed about what's going on in our community. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and in the same vein, then we would invite the police chief to come
Absolutely.
in. And any of her assistants to come in.
Come on in here.
And once a month. And take questions of the public and talk about what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the phone line this morning. Hey, caller, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, y'all.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
I've been listening in, and my question is, or my comment is, what was there not to like about Chris Reed, unless you're the criminal? I think the only ones that didn't like him was the city council.
Well, they're the ones that voted him down for sure.
That's right. What was it? 4-1?
Yes, sir.
Supposedly, or
yeah, it was 4-1.
3-2 after they retallied the votes. And
I like how you say that.
Retally.
We don't know how we're voting. We're confused.
Yeah. What is this voting thing anyway?
Yeah. Obviously, after they've been in there for a while, I'm not surprised. But anyway, like I said, results matter, and that's all that matters when you want to stay safe. And I guarantee it'd be a whole different program if Mr. Reed was our police chief right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought Chris did a fantastic job.
Well, and that's what I never understood is right after they fired him, I went down there. Of course, nobody got to even bring it up. Unless you're on the docket, you don't get your 3 minutes in the sun. And but nobody forgot to bring up like, oh yeah, a couple of weeks ago he busted a meth ring. Does he get any credit for that? Yeah, and he did. But anyway, like I said, unless you're the criminal, I don't know what there was to like about the guy, because the only thing that really matters is character and results, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, we were getting results, and also transparency and communication is what we were getting too. So
Right. Yeah, I've got a dental appointment at 8, so I've got to roll.
All right. Well, hope it goes well.
But I'll listen in for the has and see if you found any bargains down at the gun show this weekend.
There you go. I like it. So, all right. Well,
have a good one.
All right. Be careful.
All right. Bye-bye.
Ooh, dental appointment on a Monday.
Nah, it's never good.
Yeah, it's never fun.
Bad way to start a week.
Absolutely. 601-485-9191. Speaking of the police department, they are on the city council's agenda for tomorrow. We'll talk more about that after a Fox News break coming up here in just moments here on Mornings in Meridian. But before we move a little too more far into the show, we need to thank, I tell you what, Jeffrey Wilson, I wonder if he's recouped or not from the Pancake Jubilee.
I doubt it.
Because he was working hard down there with the Optimist Club back last Tuesday. But you know what? When you think insurance, one of the first names that comes to mind, obviously, is Jeffrey Wilson.
It is the first name, State Farm Insurance, Jeffrey Wilson. He is a good neighbor. We still saying that? Well, we can ride that. Always wearing khakis. Jeffrey Wilson down there, 2401 Highway 39 North. You know, you need to know your agent. And Jeffrey Wilson, of course, everybody knows him around town because he's involved in everything. Like the Optimist Club. He'll sell you pancakes. Yeah, sell you insurance, too. And, of course, you know, you need to know your agent. And because when you need him, you need to be able to call him and say, I've got a claim. And then Jeffrey Wilson will walk you through the whole process of filing that claim and getting you the money you need. And, of course, you need to also evaluate your insurance needs once a year. So you sit down with him, have a cup of coffee, talk about what your needs are, and he can save you money here. In fact, when you buy you can save an average of $889. Not too shabby. Call Jeffrey Wilson today, 601-483-8253, or go see him over there on Highway 39 North, 2401. Highway 39 North. Like a good neighbor. Jeffrey Wilson is there.
Another comment here from Tammy. She said Chris was at Meridian community events and was always approachable to discuss issues.
Yeah.
And from previous experience, yeah, no doubt about that. He was always that way. So, but like I said, just doing a little comparing this morning.
Yeah, and you know, people are different, but I think that there are some marked differences in the way that the job is being conducted. So
it is what it is.
You're right about that.
It's easy to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
say it all day long.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, got the agenda for the City Council's meeting tomorrow morning at 9. Yes, morning meeting tomorrow. So we'll do that right after this Fox News break. Welcome back into the show here on this Monday morning, March the 4th. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Our number here at Mornings of Meridian, 601-485-9191. Appreciate you folks watching out there on Facebook Live. Of course, WALTmeridian.com, the mobile app, X, and YouTube. Lots of ways to stay connected to Mornings of Meridian. You got Rob and Charles in with you on this brand new week, brand new month.
Yeah.
Here in March.
Notch.
Lord, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Springtime.
All I have to say is we got a lot of reaction from the show Friday from Walking Like Biden. I don't know if you've seen the reel we put up on Facebook. I have to show it to you during a break, but yeah, it was pretty good stuff.
Walking, like just slow walking.
It was
confused.
Well, it was a parody song that was on YouTube. The Walk Like an Egyptian, that song, but it was Walk Like a Biden.
Wow. Okay.
Toby Bates introduced us to that on Friday. So.
Sorry, I missed that one.
So the history professor hits another home run there. So, but yeah, go check out the reel over at our Facebook page. But before we get into that agenda with the city council, let's talk about our friends down at Barber and Sons Plumbing. And folks, when the water's not flowing right, that's never a good thing. Well, the first call I would make is Barber and Sons.
The only call I'd make,
right.
And when the water's flowing, it needs to be flowing the right way, out of the house or in the house, depending on which kind of water it is. And, of course, Barber & Son's been in business for over 80 years. I think they invented indoor plumbing at this point. They've got every type of plumbing part available. If you're a do-it-yourself or just take a picture of the part that's broken, or you can take it off, bring it in, and Gary will make sure you get the right part and you get a good story, and you also get detailed instructions on how to replace it. And, of course, they'll also come to your home or business and do repair jobs as well. 601-482-7023. Of course, they're conveniently located downtown, 1123 26th Avenue. Check them out. You know everybody else does, because Barber and Sons Plumbing is the only place you need to go for all of your plumbing needs.
Taking a look at the 9 a.m. Meeting agenda for tomorrow with the City Council. Of course, I would encourage you to, if you can, to head to that meeting tomorrow morning, if you folks are in the city of Meridian. As far as the consent agenda, they will obviously go over the minutes from the previous meeting, and then thereafter an order authorizing the approval of LBK Architects for professional services concerning the former police station. I know that was mentioned a lot in the work session with the city council here recently, and then they will have a resolution in support of the revitalization of the old police station site. So that's going to be right out of the gate tomorrow at the city council meeting. So it looks like something is going ahead with that site right there, Charles.
Well, and my understanding is just the word on the street is that MSU wants to build a dormitory right there, student housing and possibly student center, something along those lines. So they would have to raise that building and then construct something new. Building's been sitting vacant for how long now?
Good while.
10 years? Yeah, 8 years,
while.
something like that. And, there is I guess, a push to preserve it as an historic property.
Sure.
Kind of a cool building, but, is it really in keeping with the architecture downtown? Not so much. And could it be made into a useful site? Then I think that it's all. I'm all for it. I'd love to retain the architectural integrity of downtown and make sure that we're kind of keeping those old buildings. I don't know if that qualifies. It's more of a 1970s type building, which actually are people do gravitate towards now because that's 50 years ago. But still, I think that we could probably make something that's a little more consistent with City Hall and that whole area, the MSU kind of complex that they have going on.
So that's going to be on the consent agenda. Then the routine agenda, they're going to have an order authorizing service order from ClearGov for budgeting and transparency software. Ooh, transparency in the budget. What? Well, transparency in the agenda.
Oh, stop it.
Sorry.
Be real.
Order authorizing application submittal from FEMA assistance to firefighters grant for air packs for firefighters, $400,000. Order accepting source of supply bids for pipe valves and fittings. Order accepting a bid from 3D Contractors, Inc. For demolition of some housing. That's about $142,000 plus. Order authorizing contract renewal with Wagoneer Engineering for management of the freshwater and wastewater utilities. Of course, we just had David Hodgen a week ago talking about freshwater and those related items here on the program. And then the police department is on the budget for tomorrow, moving around some money
Okay, here we go.
Fiscal year 2024 budget amendments. They want to increase the police department transfers and other charges, basically moving money. It says special projects be $200,000 and decrease personnel services. That would include salaries. Regular is what's in parentheses here, $200,000.
Well, they don't have the staff to kind of justify those expenditures, so they've got extra money because they can't hire people, or they haven't hired people. And so, yeah, you've got extra money, move it in. And what do they want to move it into?
Well, they want to move it into a special projects portion of the, it's basically the increase the police department transfers and other charges. That is a special projects. And what that $200,000 is what we talked about on the program last week that they had discussed in the work session about improving cameras and other security features at the police station because of, well, what happened on February 1st with the I guess, inmate that was in custody that got the gun and whatnot. So they had said, hey, the camera's a little obsolete. We need some cameras. We need some, doors to be taken care of. A lot of different features they wanted to update with the police department. So that's where this money is going.
Well, and no mention of training as far as courtroom decorum or any of those things that have been mentioned by the grand jury.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And then after that, they will have a claims docket involving payroll and just some mandatory and operational items. And then the presentation agenda will be notification of the legal advertisement, a lot of different kind of parts of the agenda there. And, of course, the mayor's report and Tommy Williams on the citizens' comments.
Of course. Yeah. I think they just write him in there, even if he signs up for it or not.
Mr. Consistent. I love it. And, of course, the council comments there at the very end. So I guess the biggest items on this list, obviously, are the two big ones that were discussed at the work session recently, that being the $200,000 for the, I guess, security upgrades at the police station, then, of course, involving the old police station and what they're going to do there. And I guess, with the fresh water and the wastewater utilities, that's a pretty big item there with the engineering firm there and seeing what's going to happen there. So looks like a pretty busy meeting tomorrow.
It looks like it. And I wonder, my question would be, technology is great. Were there procedural errors with this shooting?
That's the question.
And so is it all technology, or is it, wait a minute, we just need to do things differently. We can actually save that money, spend it on recruiting more officers, training more officers, or even giving a pay increase and attracting more because of that. But, and those things may be needed. I don't know. But I think that's a question that hasn't been answered. And that's, I'd love to hear the answer to that. What exactly happened? Was it a procedural issue? Was it something that could be prevented with a change in basically the way that they operate their business, or not the business, but the way that they operate the prisoner exchange and where they're moving them around and that sort of thing? Or was it something that could have prevented through locked doors and, that sort of thing? To me, it seems that it was more of a procedural thing because, somebody grabbed a gun and shot, Now, you want to have the evidence. You want to make sure that you've got a clear picture and image of exactly what happened, when it happened, and possibly why it happened. But in order to prevent from a recurrence of this, it would be, let's make sure that this guy's either cuffed, that that somebody else who's armed is not next to them, that is maybe in a sense making sure that he's complying, and as opposed to having somebody with a gun right next to him. I don't know. I'm not a police officer, and nor would I pretend to know. But from the outside looking in, it seems that there are certain things that could be adjusted, basically at no cost.
Well, and looking at it from the outside in, from what we know right now. I think we all kind of gravitate toward, something procedurally was incorrect there. But what they're asking from the council here, this $200,000, I remember the article because Thomas Howard had the article in the Meridian Star. It was back, I believe, Thursday of this past week about this work session. It was the cameras were a little outdated there at the police station. A lot of they wanted to put in some of those automatic doors that kind of lock down. There's a lot of different features that they wanted to upgrade, but at the $200,000 price tag with that. So basically, they're moving money around within that budget. They're going to take the personnel services portion of the police budget and move that into the special projects, which is when you look at the budget, and we've looked at the previous budget before. For
9.6.
Yeah, the 9.6. $9.6 million.
That's a lot of money.
9.6. They had it categorized for us, and this special project portion was at the bottom of the budget, and they're just moving money around from, well, personnel services because, well, they can't hire folks, and moving it into
so you got
this
extra over there to the special projects slush fund.
Exactly.
We'll do whatever we want with it.
Yeah.
We got a special project.
We need more projects,
Right.
especially that
Special
department.
ones, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean that's where the money is going to move it around. So I know a lot of people are going to be screaming to high heaven about them decreasing the personnel services with salaries and regular. But if you're not hiring folks, well, they're moving this to another area. So.
Sure, and you know, I think that increased security and increased visibility as far as cameras go is not a bad thing. But you know, given the budgets that we have and the limited resources of the police department, is that the wisest move? Would be my question. Yeah, as opposed to just kind of changing some procedural things and making sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen again.
Well, and my question too is, and it may have been mentioned in the article. I don't have it right here in front of me that Thomas wrote a few days ago. With this $200,000, do they want to have an area in the department where you're going to have to monitor these cameras that they're putting up? And of course, we're not talking about the cameras at the police station. We're talking about the ones they're going to be mounting around the city.
Sure.
Are they going to have a dedicated room that's going to be here locally where folks are going to be monitoring these? Man, I would say around the clock. You know, is that going to be a part of this $200,000? I would hope so. That's going to be at the police station. I guess we'll find that out once we cross that bridge, I would hope. But then again, that's the old Nancy Pelosi mentality. Let's pass the bill and then we'll find out what's in it. Let's move the money and then we'll find out what's in there.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at it that, and unless you can see a slowly developing situation, then your response time is going to be 4 or 5 minutes. Well, if it's a shooting, boom, they're gone. I mean, guess what? You might have it on camera, but you have it on camera anyway. So the advantage of having somebody live monitoring, I don't know, unless you can actually see a slow developing crime where you can respond within the 3 or 4 minutes, probably. I don't know what the average response time is. Maybe slower, maybe quicker. But
there was one part in the grand jury report. If you remember this past one that came out, where the grand jury had said something about the camera storage needed to be updated with the city of Meridian and how they do things. So I'm wondering if some of this $200,000 will maybe go to something like that, where they need to get a little better on that part of the technology. Because, as far as collecting evidence and whatnot digitally.
Yeah, but it would seem like storage is not that expensive. I mean, I got a terabyte of Apple for, $10 a month or something. I don't even know what it is. But you know what I'm saying? Put it on Apple.
A lot of questions.
Put it on the cloud.
A lot of questions.
Yeah,
and not enough answers.
And no answers. That's exactly right.
Let's go back to the phone line. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning.
There he is, the man of all knowledge.
I'm not sure that I'm able to wrap my head around the moving of the money.
The moving of the money?
That's right. If you're moving it away from personnel, does that remove your intent to hire more personnel if there's no money there to fill the new personnel?
It sends a pretty loud message, I would say.
I would say.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be sure I was understanding that the way that
yeah, it's and I'll read this back again. It's item number 7 under the routine agenda. It says fiscal year 2024 budget amendments, increase police department transfers and other charges. And in parentheses, it's a very long number. I guess it's like a note on the budget. And then it says special projects, $200,000. And decrease personnel services, in parentheses, another long notation of a series of numbers, and then salaries dash regular, in parentheses, and then $200,000 on the other side of that. So yeah, just basically moving that into the special projects.
Well, and it's interesting because I think that the $9.6 million budget was based on a police force of 110, something like that, if memory serves.
Yeah.
And because it's remained consistent over the last, 5-6 years when it was at that strength. And so what has been happening to that personnel money, even though we're at half strength at this point?
Yeah.
Now, $200,000 isn't a whole lot. You're looking at, 8 officers, something like that. 7? I don't know. And so if they're moving just a little bit out, maybe they've got more to reserve in hopes that they can fulfill some of those positions. But yeah, I agree. It does mean that money's gone and it's not available to hire police officers. So once it's spent, it's spent. And okay, well, sorry you want a job, but we ain't got nothing for you.
Well, I'm disappointed to hear that.
Well, all I can say is I hope the police department is going to be top notch now. The actual station it is, with 200,000.
Brand new one.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a brand new one. It's not that old.
Get some good upgrades out of it.
Yeah.
Let there be cameras, and there were cameras.
Yeah, exactly. We got enough cameras to go around. That's for sure. We could shoot our own police movie here in Meridian. So.
All right.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Yeah, I kind of have a feeling that's going to be kind of the reaction from a lot of the public is just like our last caller right there. Like that does with some folks, that's going to send that type of a message there.
And
so.
what would resolve those questions?
I don't know.
I do, and that is maybe some openness and transparency from the police department.
And
this is where the money's going. This is what we're using it for.
And of course, how are we going to hire officers when they get paid what they pay too?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was my point. If we've got an excess, then up the pay and maybe attract a better, some more or better candidates. So anyway,
like I said, I feel like this sometimes.
Right. And not to disparage the officers we have. I think we've got some great officers in the police department. We really do, and they are underpaid.
Actually,
and,
I was pumping gas on Saturday. There was an officer standing outside. I passed by him and shook his hand and said, "Hey, appreciate you." And he said, "Thank you." He just kind of looked at me, shook his head, "Thank you." So, but he was out there on duty, just stopped for a quick little break, and just wanted to thank him real quick. Good. So, but let's go back to the phone line. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
We're hanging in there.
Yeah, I hope like a hair in a biscuit.
That's a big hair.
No,
well, with me, it's not going to be much of hair. So
that's exactly right. Me either, brother. You know that.
I feel like you got something to say on this issue.
Well, sure I do.
I know you do.
You're not going to have anything to say about it? Come on.
What you got?
Hey, look, what about some leadership, accountability? I mean, transparency ain't working. I mean, we got to have some accountability. But you got to have leadership. You got to take the bull by the horns. And, of course, the problem is we got too many chiefs and not enough Indians. I mean, let's follow the money. That's all you got to do is follow the money. If there's a possibility of following the money, since there is no transparency.
Right.
I mean, it's real simple, but the 200,000 you're talking about the camera stuff. It's not the installation of the memory; it's the cost of the person installing it.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology is expensive, but the person installing it is expensive. And it's really not that hard to do. So I mean. But the people of Meridian and Lauderdale County going to have to wake up and quit putting their head in the sand, and and the people of America, until we get our head out of the sand and quit saying yes to our kids because it's easier to say yes and tell them no. It follows the same thing with politics. We have got to start saying no, put our foot down, quit being afraid of the children, so to speak.
Right.
But it ain't gonna, just as long as until the soccer moms can't pull up to the gas pump and get the gas and pull around the side of Walmart and load the groceries for them. When that stops, then you'll have an uprising. But until then, everything is hunky dory. But it boils down to people going to open their eyes and just take a stand, quit being tired of this crap. But they're not going to.
Right.
So they're just not enough of me and you out there.
Yeah, you're right about that.
A lot of them want to talk the game. They don't want to play it. So, but anyway, I just put in my nickels worth this morning.
All right. We always appreciate the nickels. They're starting to pile up a little bit.
I hear you. It won't be no change, though. I know that.
That's right. Not with Bidenomics.
There you go. Y'all have a good day. God bless.
All right, appreciate you.
it.
Appreciate you out there. 601-485-9191. Just got a couple of notes here. I'll keep the individual anonymous, but just got a text here a few minutes ago. What the police department needs is its own jail. Person just messaged that to me a few minutes ago. And also, if the money is moved to special projects, that's a one-time thing for this year's budget. Of course, it being March, they'll start talking budgets again in August. Those cameras are the originals in the police station. And, of course, they moved into the police station just before the election where Percy Bland first took office. And that's been several years ago now. So, but yeah, with this budget move, I know a lot of folks are going to look at it. You're taking money out of that to move it over here, but that's a one-time deal. But still, the messaging it does send to the public, though, they're going to write their own conclusions about it, obviously. So,
now, interesting, they say the police department needs its own jail, and you know, I would ask why. I mean, I know we need more jails, but why would that be a priority? I just curious. I mean,
how many folks?
I really don't know.
Well, how many folks are they piling up down there in the Lauderdale County
or in Kemper County?
Kemper County. So I imagine they're probably to the max right now.
So we need a new facility anyway. But would they need their own, or could we combine a county one with city? And
I know one thing.
I know one
together,
thing. And you know what I mean?
I know one thing we need.
What's that?
A juvenile detention facility.
Yeah.
I heard just a lot of people just scream amen from the rooftops listening to us when I said that, probably. So, but like I said, it is what it is. They're going to discuss it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to pass. I mean, with this moving of the money, I think it's obviously going to pass, and especially with the old police station building too. That's obviously going to be another that's going to push on through as well. But folks, you need to know about this stuff with your agenda that's going to be at the city council meeting tomorrow morning at 9, and be there at the meeting. I know it's the early morning one, but if you're concerned out there like we are, keeping you updated with what's going on at these meetings twice a month. They do the 9 a.m. Meeting this go around, and they'll do the next meeting will be in a couple of weeks that they'll do at 5, I believe it's 5:30 is the next one they'll do. So, but I need to know about this stuff. Before we jump into a Fox News break coming up here in just moments, we need to talk about our friends down at the Magnolia Restaurant, the Queen City Truck Stop. You know, after I got done calling some ball games on Saturday out at the junior college, got me a to-go plate
there
from
you go.
the Magnolia Restaurant. Hamburger steak was so good.
Man, all you got to do.
Good.
And, stop by, exit 150, of course, or get something to go. Just give them a call, 601-482-0259. Monday, you know what they got?
What?
Beef tips over ice.
Whoa.
And that's one of Roger's favorites. Of course, he's not here anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Forget that guy.
Hamburger steak, pot roast.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, fried chicken. And, of course, they always got the veggie plates and the Biggie Burger. How big is it, Rob?
Rather large.
It's huge. And let's see, when are they closed? Oh, that's right, they never close.
Nope.
Always open. Go check them out. The Magnolia Restaurant inside the Queen City Truck Stop, exit 150. And that number again, if you want to order something to go, is 601-482-0259.
All right, we're going to take a break. Got some bills to pay off here, plus Fox News, the top of the hour. We'll take more of your phone calls if you want to react to what's going on with the city right now in the council meeting with the police department. Anything else that's on your mind, we want to hear from you folks out there at 601-485-9191. And we'll jump into some statewide news and national stuff coming up next. So stay with us here on this Monday. Hope you're having a great start to your week here on this Monday morning, March the 4th. I promise you're going to make it to spring break. We're just days away.
That's a promise.
That's right.
I heard it here.
601-485-9191 is our number here on Mornings of Meridian. We would love to hear from you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Of course, we're online, WALTmeridian.com, the mobile app, YouTube, X, Facebook. We'll send up several smoke signals, whatever
TikTok?
we got to do.
Not on TikTok, are we?
No, we're
That's
not.
Chinese. We're not doing that stuff.
We ain't doing
We're
that.
no Chinese.
We ain't doing that Chinese mess up here.
All American.
There you go. So, still a lot to get into this morning. Of course, coming up at the top of next hour, we are expecting a decision for the Supreme Court involving President Trump, whether or not he is going to be on the ballot or not. This is the Colorado case, and Colorado is a part of Super Tuesday tomorrow. Now, I'm wondering, how is that process going to work if they rule in Trump's favor with that? How is that going to, because you remember it was what? Colorado, Maine, and, of course, Illinois here most recently.
Illinois.
And, of course, I would think if the decision goes the way we think it's going to go today, that will send a clear message to the rest of these states, hey, no dice.
Yeah, and I don't think that he's been removed from the primary ballot.
I don't think so. I think this is the general election.
Right.
Yeah.
So tomorrow they'll be able to vote for him, and we're expecting kind of well, I don't know if about a sweep. There may be a state or two that Nikki Haley may carry. Vermont.
She won
maybe.
yesterday.
And out of 1,800 or 1,955 votes cast, yes, a commanding lead. Less than District 2 in Lauderdale County.
Exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, that wasn't. Well, could we call that a victory? I guess.
Well, it is a big. It is a big week. We were talking about this off air a few seconds ago. Of course, today Supreme Court decision expected to come out. That'll dominate headlines, obviously, throughout the day on all of our national shows. Tomorrow, Super Tuesday, of course, and then State of the Union.
That's like watching the Oscars. I mean, it's painful, and I give me the summary. I'll read the speech if I need to, but watching it is, it's just self-congratulatory. We're so great. Look at us. Look what we've done. Yeah, I mean, and right, half of them standing up, clapping constantly. The other half sitting down and refusing to clap. It's come on. I mean, the context or the length of the speech is what, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It takes an hour and a half because everyone's clapping all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Sit down. Please hold your applause until the end of the speech.
Yeah.
I mean, it just drives me crazy. I won't be watching, but I will read the summary of the speech, I guess.
You read the Cliff Notes there.
Right. Or if they would just condense it all into, remove all the clapping and then, all the speech. That might be entertaining, actually.
The State of the Union State of the Union for Dummies.
Yeah.
There's more jokes there, but I'm going to let them go. And we're going to go right
By
to
dummies is what it is, not for dummies.
We're going to go right to the phone line.
Okay.
Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning, true American patriot.
Hiya.
Good morning, Has.
Well, about the shooting Friday night, it could have turned out just the opposite.
Absolutely.
Very quick.
Absolutely, it could have.
And here's the thing. All that perpetrator had to do, the one that got killed, he'd still be alive today if he followed the legal commands of the officer.
Yep.
But they are taught to have disdain for the law and for authority. We're going to do like we want. Well, no, hell, you're not. Because society is not going to let that happen. Now, either the law can stop it or we can stop it. But it will stop at some point. But this has got way out of hand. Y'all try to promote Meridian, everybody, the tourists and all. Man, ain't nobody coming here. These stories get out. And it just adds insult to injury. And going to the city council meeting, I don't know if that'd do a bit of good. They're not hearing the people. They don't care what the people think. It's about what they think. Like I said, Democrats in general are not concerned with the people at all. They're concerned with the agenda of power and control and spending somebody else's money.
Has, what do you think about this $200,000 transfer?
Well, like I said, they keep saying this word transparency. It's hard to be transparent when you're swimming in an ocean of India ink. Let's get the state auditor. Let's see if he can't get some transparency down here. Yeah, what are we going to do next? We're going to send the drone in. You know, we're going to hire some attack chihuahuas to walk the streets of Meridian. It surpasses comical. It's sad enough to bring tears to glass eyes. And there's no chance of it getting better because they are not going to do anything to make it better. They're not going to recall that chief of police because that makes them look bad. You can't do the job. You couldn't do the job when you sat in the seat the first day. What we're going to do, just write it down? Now, just take the hands off the stick. Just write it down. The citizens, I wish there was some legal beagle I knew that would give us what recourse the citizens have to make this better. Let's have a recall vote. Let's have a recall vote on the mayor or whatever it takes to get Meridian to be safe again. You know, or we just going to keep calling, Stella, got a tag and bag out here. You know, it's become an everyday thing.
And I'm glad you brought that up because the bottom line is the police chief is presented by the mayor to the city council, and they vote on to approve her. So, in reality, this lays at the feet. This lays at the feet right here.
Vote of no confidence against all of it.
Yeah.
We'd be just as well off with Clarabelle Clown and Howdy Doody up there. We'd just as well be off. And maybe better. At least they wouldn't mess up something. But, no, it'll continue because it's got no means of turning around. And they keep talking about, well, we need to do this and need to do that. The first thing you've got to do is just like the federal government. The first responsibility is to the people, the American people. First responsibility in Meridian is to the citizens of Meridian, not building some y'all come see it project or something that they want. Let's do what the people want. That's the ones paying the bills, paying the taxes, you know. But they don't see it that way. And what's setting in is complacency and apathy. Absolutely nobody cares. And that will further put the last nail in the box for Meridian, Mississippi.
Real quick, I remember we had a conversation here recently. I think it was before the pancake breakfast. I think me and you were talking, and we said, what is it going to take? How bad is it going to have to get?
It's going to get one of these rich Northwood socialites getting raped or killed, or one of them being hurt, or their house burglarized, or whatever, or shot up, because they've got the power and the money to bring it to bear. The average workaday dog robber, little blue-collar guy, they don't care. They absolutely don't care. You mean no more to them than a scrap of paper on the ground. And if you think you do, you're deluding yourself. You do not yet be deceived. They will not do right. And like I said, you've got a race and culture that resents law authority, hates the law, resents the law. All that man had to do was stay in that car and do just what the officer said. And whatever the stop was, suspected DUI, let the man do his job. Is it worth dying over? But the officer could have got killed too, easy, because they are hesitant to draw and fire their weapons in that kind of situation because the media immediately makes them the bad guy. It ruins their whole damn life. This is a curse against all the planet right here. and it will not change until the people change it. Roger that.
There we go. The has spoken this morning. Charles, comments?
Well, and yeah, I think that he talked about, I guess, compliance of the passenger, and I think that. Hey, who knows what his intent was, but you get out of a vehicle when you're pulled over with a weapon in your hand.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, it's almost like a suicide by cop. You are looking for conflict, and what do you think a police officer is going to do if you come out with a weapon drawn? Yeah, that's crazy. So it was going two ways: either the officer was killed, or what happened, the passenger was killed.
Well, I can tell you right now, with the training that our Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department goes under, that bet's going to go in the corner of the man wearing the green.
Of course, and
the man or woman wearing the green.
But it was almost like the guy was asking for it. But that to me is what it. Yeah, what was going on. He was like, man, they're not taking me, so you know what? I'm either taking him or he's going to take me. Stella's going to come get me. And obviously that's what happened. So
Stella showed up. Yeah.
And I think that there is a lot of compliance. I think there needs to be more, and obviously that's been an issue with the whole George Floyd and defund the police, and have there been abuses by the police? Certainly, but it's not as widespread as they maintain that it is. But still, more training and that sort of thing could help alleviate some of that. But I think that there is a good bit of compliance, and I think that we need to be sure that we're teaching all kids that. I teach my son that. This is what happens when you see the blue lights. You pull over. You put your hands on the steering wheel. You turn on your interior light. Every parent ought to tell that kid, black, white, whatever color you are, green, blue, I don't care, because that's what a police officer expects, and the respect that you need to afford them is that you make it clear to them exactly what's going on and what you're doing in the interior of that vehicle.
I'm just going to use this as an example. The show that they air on, they used to air it on A&E, and now they air it on Reels. What is it, the Live PD or whatever it is? They've changed the name of it now. But most of these officers, when they initiate a traffic stop, I'm just using that program because it's live shots on the street there with these officers.
Sure.
99.9% of the time, I'd say even 100% of the time, if you are respectful with the officer, guess what?
Yeah.
They're going to bring it right back to you in return.
Of course
and
they are.
in most cases, if it's something so small, they're probably going to just say, hey, listen, I won't have to see you again.
Right.
Go on.
Yeah.
But if you got a record, I mean, they're going to look at a few things, and they're going to do their job. It's nothing personal.
Sure.
Comply.
Yes.
Just comply.
Always.
Respect will get you it back in return.
Of course.
So let's go back to the phone line. Hey, caller, good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. It's a very, very, very informative program this morning. We appreciate you guys for that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but just hopefully our city council and everybody, they just do the right thing, whatever decisions they make. But listen, I'm calling in this morning. We're going to talk a little politics, okay?
Come on in here.
We'll do it.
And I'm an African-American, descendant of those original slaves. That's why I say African-American. And Barack Obama is not an African-American, okay? And he's not a descendant of any of those original slaves that came to this land. So get that out. But the Democrats, especially black people, they are so ignorant to the fact that the Democrat is not on your side until they need something. Now, they had this weekend, last week, all these Democratic officials going to black churches in the pulpit, and they are too blind. You're never going to see them again until election time come back around. And it's like you're too blind to see that. And here it is in Alabama. They got the Selma Bridge, okay? We had this black female representative of Alabama gets up and say, I can't believe that I'm still going through the same thing happened 60 years ago. Woman, what are you talking about? Here you are a representative. 60 years ago, you wouldn't even been allowed on that platform. That's just the stupidity of my black folks, really. Too blind to see the real facts that's really happening with the Democrats.
You know, my man on the street, I was telling Charles a few minutes ago, I was looking at some polling numbers between Biden and Trump as far as Hispanics and Black Americans go, and it looks like the black support for Trump continues to go up as he is doing very well in that polling. I think what I saw this morning was well over 25% support for Trump right now, which that is a record number of folks from the African American community supporting Donald Trump.
That's right. The people's eyes is opening to the host, and the main blindfold is the fake left news media. You know, they're the one that's blinding people who really is ill informed of really what's going on. But the social media part where the YouTubers who are coming on and giving people the right inside information that they need, that the Democratic Party is just a host for black people. That's what they're beginning to see now. If it was left up to the leftist news, CNN and MSNBC, that what people are listening to, that they would not be informed like they need to. I mean, I'm just happy about that part. But I'm one of them person that I do my research, and I know for a fact, as I said during Black History, that the 17th president, Andrew Johnson, is the one that changed that 40 acres and a mule that President Lincoln had put into effect. He came back and changed it. A daggone Democrats, and people don't know that.
There you go.
Well, and I think you bring up a great point, is that, you know, a lot of these African-American, the civil rights leaders and things like that are still fighting the same fight. And why? There are other fights that need to be fought. And what about the disparity in education levels between blacks and whites? And let's look at that. And let's try to resolve those issues. Let's look at the real problems within the African-American community and try to solve them. You know, don't fight the fight that's been won 60 years ago, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, whenever it was, because you're distracting people from the real problem. And the real problem is the disparity in education and the poverty levels and the breakdown of family and things like that. And let's look at it really head on and say, how do we solve that problem? It is a problem, and we need to resolve it as a society because it benefits us all to resolve it, not just a certain group. It benefits the entire group of us, I mean, the entire country. So I wish that we would look at that and fight that fight, you know, all of us together.
And fight that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. It's like, come on, you're going to tell me we haven't made any progress in 60 years? Get off of it.
Right, as you're sitting in the House of Representatives, you know, making millions of dollars or whatever you're doing. But anyway, yeah.
Exactly. So I just wanted to put that out, and we're listening in, okay?
I appreciate it.
All right, appreciate you out there. All right, 601-485-9191. Some pretty good points right there. I like that stuff. Let's go back to the phone line 2 here. Hey, caller, good morning to you.
Well, yeah, I'd just like to make the statement that there was white people that was enslaved, they were slaves, that was taught indentured service from all over the world when they came to America. That show they got that shows your ancestors, they showed a lot of Hollywood people there. They couldn't believe that their great-great-great-grandpa, whatever it was, came from England, and they said they weren't enslaved like the blacks, but they was a slave. They had to work for the slave owner, but they had whites and blacks on the plantation. They said they had to work for 20 years before they got their freedom. Nobody talks about that. And also Barack Obama pulled up Judge Joe Brown in Tennessee. Barack Obama's daddy he just died, is from Indonesia. He's the 15th richest man on the planet, in the world. Barack Obama has never been poor. He's not black. He's a Muslim, and there's a big difference. You go from Africa over to a Muslim, they're going to kill you. They do not accept black people. They totally different. And black people know that. A lot of them know it, and a lot of them don't know it. But just pull up Judge O'Brien, you'll get a shock. He tells the history of the Bushes that raised. The Bushes, the old man that raised Barack Obama, helped raise him, shows him when he was a little baby all the way up, standing beside his hip. And they want to help put him in, the Bushes did. That's all a family thing. Just pull it up. You'll get a big shock of Judge Joe Brown and Barack Obama. That's all I got to say. If he ain't scared, pull it up.
No.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. All right. 601-485-9191 is our number here at Mornings in Meridian. I didn't think Barack Obama was going to be brought up this much during hour 2 of the show today.
No, and it was interesting. First caller said he wasn't African American. Of course, his father was African, but he's not I guess a traditional descendant of slaves and that sort of thing. But anyway, I'd never heard that theory that his father wasn't African, that he was Indonesian. I know that he lived in Indonesia, I think, with a stepfather, something like that, in his youth. But who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I get it don't matter now anyway.
We're going to take a break here on Mornings in Meridian. I got some Fox News, also Your Money Now, and more of your phone calls after this. Appreciate you being a part of our Monday. You know, Charles, I was going to tell you yesterday, the fog was tough out there yesterday morning. But, yeah, it looks like much of it's starting to burn off this morning. But still be careful out there driving. I know I had to go to Starkville yesterday morning, and going up 45, it was not a fun drive yesterday with that thick fog going up to call ball games yesterday in Starkville. So,
and foggy this morning, as you said. So, everybody put your lights on. Be careful.
That's right. I got a caller waiting on the line. Caller, just hang on for 1 second because we got to thank our good friends down there at 217 Sela Ward Calhoun Parkway.
That's not official.
It's what we're calling it.
Also known as 22nd Avenue.
Yes.
A&A Glass, Adam got it going on. Been the #1 glass replacement company here in town 10 years running. They must be doing something right. All you got to do is give them a call, 601-693-GLASS. Boy, that's easy to remember. 601-693-GLASS. And as you said, just 2 doors down from the Meridian Children's Museum at 217 22nd Avenue, Sela Ward, Calhoun Parkway. Call them for a free quote. And, of course, they'll work with their insurance company. They're fast, efficient, friendly, and they got great T-shirts as well. You know, you get that little ding dent, you know, whatever that is, just a crack in the windshield. No, you know what? Fix it before it becomes a big crack in the windshield. And they can do that or replace the whole thing if need be. A&A Glass, open 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, 217 22nd Avenue, 601-693-GLASS.
All right, let's go back to the phone line here at Mornings in Meridian. Hey, caller, thank you for holding. Welcome in.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Hey, Miss Ruth.
Hey,
Good morning.
Ruth.
Please, we are getting into this Barack Obama nonsense. What we need to do is to deal with facts here. Barack Obama's father is Kenyan. You remember the Kenyans, the British went and colonized, also the French, all right? So that's why you have the French Africans speaking and the British ones colonized those people. It was just a cut above being a slave. There's no, they didn't have the kind of life that we had, but they still were, I don't know if some of you saw that Out of Africa movie or whatever. The point I'm trying to make here is that Barack Obama's father got a PhD in economics from Harvard, and he went on back home and had wives and this and this. Barack Obama's mother was like 17 or 18 years old. She was a freshman in college when she met this guy and had Barack. So the point I'm trying to make is Barack did not have an easy life. What happened is that his mother eventually, by the way, she also has a PhD in anthropology. So his mother married that guy where, and Barack moved with them where they were. That did not work out. That was his stepfather. And that was when he went to live with his grandparents. Now, his grandparents, neither one of those people, and of course, Motormouth there is always talking about how the kind of wealthy kind of life that Barack led with his grandparents. If you read anybody, they were just like maybe they would be classified, I suppose, as maybe lower class, middle class white people. Those were his grandparents. All right. So he has not had. And then, of course, his mother finally came and said, "You've got to get your act together here. You got this background. You can do this, this, and this, and this." Because he was going through something also. He has had a bad life. And what I'm saying, relatively speaking, just very sharp and very bright. And what needs to happen is whether you are the African who came, the diasporans is what they're calling us. We have slavery in our history. Or you're just one of what they call the continental ones. You had a certain amount of slavery in yours. It wasn't called slavery. It was called being colonized, but you still couldn't do anything. I mean, the British, especially in the Kenyan, they went over. The British went and did all kinds of things. But the point I'm trying to make is that he has paid his dues. I mean, it's not an easy life that he has had, and people need to stop thinking that he had this fabulous kind of. It was not like that. A very troubled kind of life, because of the circumstances under which he was born. All right? And so, but like I said, thank God, God gave him a brain, and then with his mother who married this Indonesian guy, he was able to go to maybe 3, 4, 5 years to an exclusive school, but that's just a tiny bit of time out of his history. most of his childhood was spent with problems because of who his father was. Now, his father is African, Kenyan. He's African. Barack Obama is African. All right, I mean, if you do with the father's name, and if your father, if you grew up in Kenya, you're born in Kenya, and you're African. All right, you are Kenyan African is what it is, and so people need to just move off of just leave Barack Obama alone, because he has done the best that he could possibly do when you look at the circumstances under which he was born. And that envy that people have, the thing that's bothering me now about my African American brothers, especially brothers, I don't know if the sisters are in on this or not, there's all of this envy of against blacks who have made it now and have money to spend, and they're doing all kinds of things. There's no point in envying these people. I mean, the price has been paid for all of us. And I even try to tell the younger people, the price has been paid for you. All right, years and years and years and years. We haven't had what we're supposed to have. What you need to do now is don't worry about whether there's a father in the house and there's all kinds of nonsense. Let the social workers and those people take care of that problem. What you need to do is to get yourself in a school and get yourself in a seat, and from 8 o'clock to whatever time it is that school, that you have to be in school, that's what you need to be focusing on. You need to be focusing on the skill and what you need to do in order to get on out here and do what you need to do. There's no point in having people make you feel inferior about anything, because God made all of it. There's no reason to be inferior. You were not responsible for the slavery. But what you've got to do now is to stop finding excuses. Finding excuses not to do this, that, and the other, and people talking about what the men ought to do in the men in the house. Forget about all of that. You just get into a seat every day and get the skill that you need. And what needs to happen is that these people need to have the homework before these students leave. That was why Dr. Wright was successful. You had to see, there was a tornado watch outside. This is what you're doing from this time to this time, and every day, and nothing is going to stop it. And at the end of that period, or whatever it is, you take 15 or 20 minutes to do your homework. That's done before you even leave. For those people who are in these situations where they get home, nothing is going to happen. And it's the same thing now, even for the community people. 10 years ago, we were talking about use these community centers to start teaching these kids, these students, to read. They're now decided now they're you go to the community centers and somebody's reading a book to you, and you're giving some books to take home. That's phase 2.
Okay.
Phase 1 is you need this basic sight vocabulary in order to read, and that's what they need to
now,
be
Ruth, why is a community center teaching a kid how to read and not the school?
Well, because that's what they're supposed to be doing in the school. But that is what that is not happening. So what it is now, what happens now, you're right there in the neighborhood where they are. All you have to do,
where the school is too.
You have people come in. All you have to do is to teach them right there where they are. It's not a situation where you went to school and you did this and this and this. Do it where they are. All they have to do is let the people who live in these communities be in charge of it. They're not stupid or anything like that. Let's find out. Okay, these are the 220.
Miss Ruth, we need you to land the plane here, okay?
Okay. I'm gonna lay it.
That's fine. That's fine. We still got some commercials we got to air here. No, we're gonna let you land the plane. You got just a few seconds left, okay?
All right. I want my African American brothers who are there wrapping themselves around because they're upset. You notice the ones that are doing that. They're the truckers and the people who are less educated. There's not what you need to be. And there's no reason for you to be envious of African Americans who have now made it. What you need to do is to find out, how can I make my life better? Thank you, guys.
All right, appreciate you. All right.
I mean, avarice obviously goes back to biblical times. I don't know why it's specific to race, though. I mean, people are jealous of success regardless. I mean, you look at anybody and you can be jealous of a car they're driving or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know why one group is specifically jealous of just the people within that group and the success that they've had. So I think they ought to celebrate that and be jealous of other people, well, or not be jealous at all would be the, the best course of action. But
I don't
anyway,
like that 4Runner you're driving out there. I got a problem with it.
Yeah, okay, that's not my 4Runner.
Oh, it's
Prius. No, I'm not in the Prius. It's a 4Runner, whatever.
Prius too.
Yeah, I'm damn driving a Prius.
We need to roll along here and thank Southern Business Supply. I tell you what, Billy Adam Calvert and the staff down there at Southern Business, right across from the Wayman Newell Bridge, fantastic staff there. And, of course, they got an in-house decorator there as well. And, folks, it's so easy, southernbusinesssupply.com.
Point and click. Right. Don't go to the big box stores. Just say no to those and go to southernbusinesssupply.com. Any office supplies you need, staplers. Stapler. Pens, pencils, paper, you name it, they've got it, and they will bring it to you the next day. Can't beat that, and it's faster than that other company that begins with an A that we don't like to use. No way, because the head of it kind of looks like a lizard. Anyway, we'll leave that one alone. Locally, Southern Business Supply, local, family-owned and operated for 38 years. So when you buy from Southern Business Supply, your money stays here. It doesn't go anywhere else. Give them a call, 601-485-2447. Go see them at 5685 Dale Drive. Or the easiest thing to do is just go southernbusinesssupply.com, point, click, purchase, and it's there the next day. Can't beat it.
Wanted to mention this story here because I know we're running out of time here on the program because we got a few more commercials we got to pay off here. But this story from back on Friday involving the Blaze reporter. Of course, Glenn Beck started out his program back on Friday talking a good bit about this. I'm just going to read the story here from One American News. It says the Blaze reporter Steve Baker has been arrested and charged due to his reporting on the January 6th event at the Capitol. Back on Friday, Baker was charged with entering restricted grounds, disorderly conduct, and parading and picketing in the Capitol.
But you said the key word for reporting on that. So he was a member of the press.
Yeah.
And he was arrested for reporting on an event.
Yeah, the charges come after Baker broke major stories involving U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn and Capitol Police Special Agent David Lazarus. Here's a quote here. It says, Steve's actions on January 6th have been known to the Department of Justice for 3 years, Baker's attorney said in a January press release, but it is only now after Steve has broken 2 major stories greatly embarrassing to the DOJ that he is possibly being targeted for arrest and possibly felony prosecution. Any action taken to put him in handcuffs, hold him in custody, and have him transported to court by federal law enforcement will be nothing other than retaliation for his recent reporting. That was according to the January release there. Now, Baker's attorney was reportedly told by a federal prosecutor this past week that his client was expected to show up at the field office dressed in shorts and sandals. According to Baker, this indicated that the government is intended to humiliate him by handcuffing him, putting him on an orange jumpsuit, and performing the prison transport routine as reported by Blaze Media. Baker went on to say, told Blaze News last week, they didn't have to go this route. We have been told that my charges are only misdemeanors, and my attorneys have been assured that this will be an in and out and fair with no intention, to detain me, but rather than issuing a simple order to appear, they want the arrest warrant routine. So what he thought was going to be misdemeanors, they're going through this whole big process. Let's put the jumpsuit on him. Let's cuff him up, and let's go through the whole big process to embarrass him.
Let's get the mug shot to make sure that we can publicize that as well.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, Baker's Dallas attorney, James Lee Bright, told Blaze News that withholding the nature of the charges against his client is a really unusual move. He says, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to put on my suit and tie and walk in with my head up, Baker said. Baker turned himself in at 7 a.m. Wearing his suit and tie on Friday. In more than 3 years since the January 6th event, more than 1,300 people have been placed under arrest, and more than 900 convictions have been obtained by the prosecution. For the kind of misdemeanor charges that Baker is facing, the range of sentences have been from brief probation to 22 years.
Wow.
In federal prison. And also there's going to be some more. I think Beck is going to have more on this probably coming up a little after 9 o'clock this morning. But, yeah, that whole story broke on Friday. And as Toby Bates and a lot of other folks would say, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Nope. Well, it stinks is what it does.
Yeah. So, and they have a picture of him. He's simply outside the Capitol, and he's got like a little notebook. And he's
taking notes.
He's reporting.
Yeah. Okay.
But this, because he's
broken.
There we go.
We're arresting the press now.
Because
freedom of the press.
Because he broke some big stories about what was going on with January 6th, because he was there.
Sure.
As a member of the media. No matter if you left or right or whatever it might be, member of the media reporting, and that's what he's being charged with. Now, earlier in the story,
you did say that he was charged with actually carrying a sign or something along those lines, and so that would be more of a participant, not an observer. But
and they've got, and I'm looking at a picture of him. They've got him circled here on the picture. He's got a ball cap on, black jacket, notebook, no sign,
taking
nothing.
Notes, taking pictures. Yep, doing the press thing.
Doesn't look like there's much going on there.
Yeah. Okay.
So, just another example of what's going on behind the scenes with this January 6th stuff that just continues. But you just heard what I said.
Well,
the probation of 22 years in prison.
Well, you wonder, once you start infringing on the rights of the press, the freedom of the press, then does the rest of the press actually jump on board? Do you get MSNBC saying, wait a minute, this is an outrage? Or do they just kind of go along with it just because they're left-wing now? And
here's what you heard. Here's what you heard from Fox and others over the weekend. Quiet.
Crickets. I heard him.
Very quiet. So, but I'm pretty sure Glenn Beck is going to dive more into this today, because that was a big breaking story from back on Friday.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
We'll take a break, wrap up the show, and maybe time for one more phone call at 485-9191.
Won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't try that in a small town.
We remember this past year when that song was number one. And I think it's still number one with a lot of folks.
It sure is.
Yeah. Jason Aldean here on Mornings of Meridian. Of course, as we mentioned, we got Glenn Beck coming up at 9, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have more about the Steve Baker story, the Blaze reporter that was arrested back on Friday. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be a big chunk of his show today. But before we wrap up, coming up in a few minutes, we're expected to get the decision for the Supreme Court. I know that's going to be a big national story today here on the eve of Super Tuesday. And we believe that they are going to rule in favor of President Trump. And I remember watching a lot of the arguments from both sides during that hearing. And just the case that the folks from Colorado were trying to make, it just there were so many holes in the case. And when you go back to that beautiful document, the Constitution,
sure, and the amendment,
that
basically says insurrection.
Exactly,
that's what it's all
about.
But
Charles, we're expecting that to go that way, but we've been surprised before. But I think that's where they're going to go with this.
Well, I think given the nature of the justices and kind of their political alignment, you would think it would go in Trump's favor. And just because they're a little more conservative, and I think you have to really take a very liberal interpretation of that amendment in order to, remove him from the ballot. So,
well, and even during
stranger things have happened.
And even during the hearings, and I'll say this, a lot more of the more liberal-leaning judges in that particular hearing that day were confused and had a lot of questions too. So it wasn't just the conservative justices like Kavanaugh and Barrett and others that have been appointed by President Trump, but some of the more recent judges that have been appointed by Biden. I mean, they were just kind of like, yeah, something's not right here, and they had a lot of questions for the state of Colorado.
Well, I think beyond the kind of the philosophical interpretation of the law and kind of that amendment and the insurrection and that term and how it applies to basically Civil War veterans, but I think that it's very dangerous territory when the court decides that somebody can't be on the ballot because of an incident that happened and that hasn't proven to be an insurrection. And so they're basically deciding that it was.
And he still has not been charged.
Right. So you would think that, okay, there has to be some sort of charge or some sort of, well, I don't know if I guess there is a legal violation of an insurrection that you would be charged with, and so either the leader of it or whatever that would be. And,
so no matter
sedition or you being a traitor, but
so for folks out there, no matter what little snippet of audio or video you've seen of that speech, watch the entire speech and not what they put of snippets at that prime time.
Pick and choose, of course.
Pick and choose. Watch the entire thing and. Let all of the events play out from that day, and not just pick and not just
thousands of hours though,
and not just cherry pick little parts of it.
They've all done that. Everybody does it, to be honest. But I will not be watching the State of the Union.
Yeah,
I won't even cherry pick that. I might just read the text.
So how much are they going to have to? How much are they going to have him kind of drugged up for that on Thursday?
I thought he was always kind of drugged up. So
I mean, that's
imagine if he wasn't.
That's a prime time deal. So has he got to Has he got to sleep the next 2 days so he can stay up for that Thursday night?
Probably, yeah. And then the 2 days afterwards, I have no idea. I can prop him up. Somebody behind him moving his arms around. Weekend at Bernie's.
Well, like I said, the first domino is today with the Supreme Court, and then, of course, thereafter you have Super Tuesday tomorrow.
Yep.
We'll see what happens more with this Baker story with the Blaze and Glenn Beck coming up in a few. I'm pretty sure he'll have more extensive updates on that, and, of course, the State of the Union on Thursday. So very busy week all across the board. We did hear from the parents of the Georgia student, or at least the mother, and she said exactly what I thought she would say about that situation, as well as they laid her to rest back on Friday. So, but so much going on in this crazy world, and even in our own backyard here in Meridian.
That's right. Just open the borders. Let them all in.
Just let them all in.
Come on down.
So, but it has been a very good show today. Appreciate you folks out there for listening, as always. We'll be back tomorrow. Y'all be safe out there. Of course, Glenn Beck is up next, followed by Clay and Buck. The great Sean Hannity and his martial arts skills, and Joe Pags on your drive home.
Wow.
So, Charles, we'll see you in the morning.
We'll do it.
Folks, have a great day, and God bless you, and be safe. And always, buy local.